Hello, come on in the room. Come on in the room. I miss you guys. Hello to all of my Facebook saints, my YouTube saints, and my Sunday school dropouts. I hope everybody is doing well, and I can't wait to talk to you and see how everything's going for you. As always, I'll give it a few minutes. For everybody to kind of catch up and get in there. Thank you so much for being patient with me tonight. My computer and I had a fight, but I won. So thank you for your patience. If this is your first time joining us, hello. My name is Brandolyn, and I love it. We love having new people. So make sure to tell us that you're new and where you're from so that we can show you some love. Let's see here. Hi, Miss Christy. How are you today? And hello, Sarah. How is everything? Before we get into anything tonight, I want to know how you guys are doing. How's everything? I have not been live consistently in quite some time, partially because this summer has been a whirlwind. It's been non-stop. And so, I was used to kind of having my little routine, and it was truly interrupted with a lot of trips. And note what I said, trips, because there's a difference between a trip and a vacation. But I enjoyed every single one of them. I cannot tell you how much I truly did enjoy all of the trips. And we'll talk about a couple of them in just a minute. Glenda, I missed you too, boo. I missed you. Oh, it has just been crazy. And so I'm glad that, we get to catch up for a minute, and I can fill you in on all the madness that's been happening. But how's everybody doing? Let me know what's going on with you, please, in the comments. To kind of bring you up to speed to what in the world's been going on and where all I've been and why I haven't gone live. I want to say pretty much in June, it's been nonstop. The first thing was I went to New Orleans, and I went there on a work trip. Again, there's a difference between a trip and a vacation. And so this was a work trip, but it was New Orleans. And so I think I've talked to you guys about that. I went to Bourbon Street, and I'm still washing all of the sin and things off of me from my experience on Bourbon Street. And then I came home. I sat down for about 2 minutes and was ripping and running with my daughter. My husband and I, we have just been, it's been nonstop. We had to take her to Panama City. And I can't unsee some of the things that I saw in Panama City. Yeah, but we've talked about that. As a matter of fact, let me just pause for a moment and ask you guys this. And no, Sarah, I haven't recovered. We'll go talk about that in a moment. Have you all heard of a contest that's called the Sunburn Contest, where people literally go out in the sun and purposefully burn themselves? I hope it's a joke. I hope it's a joke. Yes, Miss Martina, thongs and things that I can't unsee. We went there and then immediately came back, had about a 2-minute breather, ran to Nashville, took my daughter to Nashville for the Ed Sheeran concert. The next day I went on a roller coaster with the students on my job. Then we came back. The next weekend, I was in Charleston with my family. So, okay, Margaret, I'm hoping what I saw was a joke. But I saw this, I promise. It was called a sunburn contest. I'm hoping that it's an AI where people are, oh gosh, don't tell me that. You think it's real? Cancer waiting to happen. I promise I saw this, but I was hoping it was a joke, so I didn't even investigate. Kathy says, probably not a joke, but it sounds really stupid. Not me. Definitely never again moment. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to find it. If you go online, y'all got to help me. I saw it, but I'm hoping it was a joke. I'm hoping. But please find out about that. This past weekend, I was in Charleston, South Carolina with my family. Have any of you all ever been to Charleston? Let me know in the comments. Um, Let me know. And while I'm waiting on that, I'm going to try to pull up what I saw, but it was called a sunburn contest. I should have just kept it and sent it to you guys. Jennifer, no, it is a thing. What? I've got to find it. I've got to find it. So people deliberately go into the sun. Wait a minute. Sun burning contest. Hold on. I'm typing it in. I need to understand. I need to know. So if you have details, please let me know. Sunburn contest. Okay. Well, clearly this, if I can find it, this will be our bless your heart moment for the evening. Hold on. Okay, Kathy, we're going to come right back to talking about Charleston. But oh my God, it's a real thing. Oh, no. It says these photos of sunburn competition in Florida are AI generated. Thank the Lord. Okay. From what I'm seeing, y'all, it is an AI thing, meaning it's not real. I need someone to confirm that for me, please, because that will definitely be our bless your heart moment if it is. Let's see here. No, I've never visited Charleston, but I'd love to go. It really looks cute in travel shows. Well, let me tell you this about Charleston. First, it is called the Holy City because there truly is a denomination of some type on every inch of their shoreline. So that they call it the Holy City. But I will tell you two things very quickly about Charleston and how it affected my family. Okay. So like I tell you all the time, I do believe strongly there's the difference between a vacation and a trip. A trip is something that you go on, and a vacation is something that you go on. But a trip usually has some form of obligation, be it work, be it children, be it a spouse. It's some form of obligation. You are required to care and to look out for someone. It may be that you're on there with your parents. Okay. That is a trip. A vacation is when it doesn't matter. You have no time frame. You don't have to be concerned about anyone else. Okay. Doesn't mean the trip can't be fun, but it truly does mean you have to pay attention. Okay, so now that we're clear on that, Charleston, I went with my family, my daddy, my mama, my siblings, minus my brother, but his son went, and all of our children and all of our spouses, except mine. I'll let that sit in for a moment. So my parents, my husband, well, my parents, my siblings, my sisters, and their husbands. My husband conveniently got out of it because he had to work. He had so much work to do. No, truly, he did have to work, and you know how I feel about a working man. That's the best smell cologne ever. The scent of a working man. So I got him off. He got off the hook this time, but we all went to Charleston with our children, and I'm not going to say I was dreading it, but I wasn't necessarily looking forward to being in a confined space with small children and people because they have opinions for an extended amount of time. I love them, so please don't judge. But we got to Charleston, and let me explain something about my family that I think will be helpful to this story. Let's talk very quickly about my father. Okay. Now, I've had him on live before, and I can say all of this because my parents aren't on the live. My daddy is one of a kind. And then there's my mama, who also is one of a kind. So to cut down on, we didn't have a lot of space. So to cut down on the number of cars, I rode with them. Strike one. Yeah, you heard me. I rode with them. I don't know if you've ever ridden with a man that is 70 years old and thinks he is 25 and loves the Lord with all his heart. He is a minister, pastor, as a matter of fact, but also suffers from an acute version of road rage. Hmm. Have you ever experienced or ridden with someone like that? Who was constantly teetering on the line of the world and holiness. He's driving, but we are somewhere between um being a saint and being a Sunday school dropout. He is somewhere in between. Okay, yeah. So, needless to say, my prayer life was strengthened while he was driving. And naturally, I have an old school daddy. Okay. So, you will not drive him anywhere. Oh, he refuses to allow any of the women in his life, from my mother down to his children. He's not going to let any of his daughters drive as long as he's got breath in his body. Okay. Yeah. So as long as he has breath in his body, he is driving you, which means you better hold on to all your breath. Okay. Because he's going, whoo, you just never know. Okay. Meanwhile, my mama is in the passenger seat, and she is of the age where she's in a permanent season. I'll say it that way. You know, there were 4 seasons. I do believe you have summer, fall, spring, and winter. You have all of those. But my mama has hit that point in life where she's in a constant season of summer. Okay, which means the rest of us have to freeze. Yes, and so my child took my blanket, and her teeth were chattering, and my poor little nephew, bless his heart, his little fingers were blue. But we didn't say anything. You know why? Because she's in a constant season of summer, and the last thing you want to do is upset her. Right. So I'm riding to Charleston with road rage and a constant season of summer. Okay. Which meant when I went on to see the Lord, because of my daddy driving, my body would have been prepared. I would have been in perfect shape because I was frozen along with everyone else in the back who was in Antarctica while my mother was enjoying her best life. And we hadn't even made it past the Tennessee line. Okay. Oh, yeah. Daddy gives a whole new meaning to Jesus Take the Wheel. And we hadn't made it to Charleston. Right. So now we get there, and we're in a house that has 5 bedrooms, but it's not just us. It's my sisters and their children as well. And we're all in this house. We're all in this together. Okay. Yeah. So, I was praying the whole time. I truly was. So let's discuss my siblings. I can't even put their husbands into this because their husbands they haven't been in the family quite as long as my husband has. So the minute this idea of a trip came up, my husband knew he needed to work overtime. They weren't that smart to know. So they went, but they were smart enough to know hide. What is that? Flight or flight? Well, they flew. They flew and hid, which left my daddy, who's used to the madness. Did he cuss? No, but I did. I did. But let me describe my sisters to you so you can understand what all was going on this trip. I wasn't even going to go here, but it's fine. So we have, speaking of cussing, we have my baby sister, who we adore. Okay. My baby sister is the mama of the group. She looks out for everyone, but she's also the biggest cusser in the group. She's one of those, her point is not, she doesn't get a point across unless she's cussing. She also has a slight lisp. It's not a big lisp. It's just slight. However, when she gets mad, her lisp gets stronger. So imagine being in a house and you have not 1, not 2, but 3 small children. Your nerves are just bad. So we heard a lot of this. Sit down, Sit your ass down. We heard that a lot. Okay. So meanwhile, while she's dealing with children and the lisp is getting stronger, we have my other sister. That's the cute bougie one. Do you all have bougie people in your family? I don't know if you know what I mean when I say bougie, but highfalutin. That's a nice way of saying it. This is the sister that won't go check the mail unless she has on makeup. She's everything must match and be together, and she's cute. Like I think I've told you all before, at family gatherings, she's required to bring the paper plates, the ice, and the cups, not because she's not capable of cooking, but because no one wants to eat avocados and kale salad on Sundays. Okay. Hmm. Do you understand how this never again is starting to come about? So you have my daddy who's used to the madness because he's raised us and he's dealt with my mama. Yes, and he has spoiled all of us, every single one of us, from my mama down to me and my siblings. We are all spoiled. It's just now we're married, and so we're not spoiled quite the same way, but my mama is. And so so you have my daddy who's barking orders, trying to tell us what we need to do on this trip. Then you have my mom who's waiting to be served. And then you have my sister who's trying to feed us kale, and the other sister who's cussing. Do you understand the difference between a trip and a vacation? But I will tell you this. Charleston was amazing. It's so much history, and the food is delicious. There were two restaurants we went to that were just Rodney Scott's Barbecue and Hannibal's. We had a wonderful time at both. But I have to tell you this never again moment, outside of the dynamics of my family, because I love every single one of them to death, sometimes to death. But while we were there and everyone was getting dressed, my niece, who is 3 years old, okay, now she had a lot of energy, but everybody wasn't ready to go yet. And so I said, give me your hand. Come on, we're going to go outside for a minute. We went outside and we walked around for a little while. We walked the block that we were staying on, and we were staying in downtown, and there's so much history and culture there. So on the other end of the block, there's a cemetery. Now it's blocked off, so you can't actually walk into this cemetery. But as we walked past, my niece stood there and she looked through, okay, and she could see the tombstones, and they were old. Like this, you saw tombstones that said 1700, 1600. It was amazing. But again, there was a closed gate. Not to say we were going in anyway. It's just me and my niece were killing time. Okay, now let me pause right there to tell you, we also went on a tour of the city. And the gentleman who gave us our tour told us that the history of Charleston is so rich and there's so much that people don't know. And one of the things that people don't know is during slavery, they literally, and during the wars, they literally buried bodies all over the city, and the city just continued to build upon it. So it's not uncommon to have a house or have something built on a grave. Keep that in mind. Okay, so my niece and I, we walked past the cemetery and we walked to the next corner. Now on this corner, there was a playground. Okay, something she can do, run off some energy, go play on the playground. But keep in mind, everything in Charleston is full of history. And so there's a plaque there, and I believe it was called the DeFore. I might be saying that wrong, but this piece of land that this park set on was given by the richest free Black man in Charleston at that time. So I'm reading this plaque about how this rich Black man gave this land, rich free Black man gave this land to the city of Charleston. And they have this little playground, and there's a little house there. It was precious. Okay, keep in mind, bodies buried, history of Charleston. So my niece, playground, we're killing time. I'm going to let her run. but only for 2 seconds because I don't know why, but the mosquitoes in Charleston are a little different than the mosquitoes in Georgia and Tennessee. The mosquitoes in Charleston will bite you. You hit them, they shake it off, and they bite you again. But anyway, I wasn't going to be at this playground for long. Literally, my little niece takes off. She looks so cute with her little hair bows. And I go to sit down on a bench. She runs towards this little seesaw horsey thing, and she stops. She stops. She looks at me and says, "The body's right there." Did you hear what I just told you? This child, deadpan face, no fear, anything. She stopped. She pointed where she was standing and said, "The body's right there," and took off running for the seesaw. I want to let you all know that if it wasn't out of network, my sister probably needed to take my niece to the hospital in Charleston, because when I tell you I snatched that child up so quick and so fast that she had whiplash. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I don't know what in the poltergeist was going on down there. I was done. I bet you that. I bet you I have never run back to a house with the child so fast. Either I dislocated her shoulder, she got whiplash, her neck was done. It was a lot going on. But what we were not going to do was stay at that playground. And what makes it so bad, there were no other kids at the playground. It was just me and her. See, Listen, I don't know where that came from that child. It was like she said it, she kept moving. She never thought another thing about it. Well, guess what? I thought a whole lot about it. You get restless again, but we're just going to color right here in the kitchen of this little Airbnb. I see dead people. You are right, Sarah. What did Miss Christine said? I see dead people. Well, guess what? She was sure enough about to see a dead person because I was about to die. Oh, I don't do it. I don't do ghost tours. I don't do those because I don't. Some people say, well, I don't believe in ghosts. Well, guess what? If you don't believe in them, there's no need to go on the tour. I don't know if ghosts are real or not. I just know there's a lot of bodies in Charleston, and I personally was not trying to introduce myself to any of them. Let's see here. What are you saying here, Miss Angie? I am from Chawala, Washington. I always like you make your videos and you're never again. Well, my niece just gave you a never again moment for us. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. How old is my niece? She's 3. She's 3. Yeah, but I know that children are innocent, and so therefore they are more sensitive to certain things, but I don't need to know where the bodies are buried. I'm good. Would that have scared y'all? Let me know in the comments. Would that have freaked you out? Trisha says, I already see why. Let's see here. I already see why your husband did not or had to work. Yeah. And I'm sure they did. Sade, that would not have scared you. You would have been fine with that. Oh, okay. You go ahead, Ghostbuster. You go right ahead. That, not for me. I've never understood ghost tours. Why am I paying to go be scared by a ghost? Make it make sense. I'm good. I'm good. The history is enough. I don't need to pay. You know what? The library. Take me there. Let me just read one passage. I'm good. Ooh, that's enough. Melissa said, going in 66. When I tell you, I snatched that child up so fast. I think that anybody who was standing out there, like, if you saw it, all you saw was like her braids and bow because it came after. It was like, I yanked her so hard. Oh, my mommy is correcting me. Mama is correcting me. Amelia Grace is 4 years old, not 3. She is 4. Okay. So please forgive me for that. I would have asked what they were doing. No, ma'am. Sarah, you go right ahead and be Oprah. I'm not asking I'm not trying to interview the dead. I'm good. I am good. Let's see here. Tish says, yes, ma'am. I would have left so quick that I would have left the child behind. if she had been my child, she would have been trained. So if mama runs, you run. But see, this was my niece, and I've not trained her to know run like that just yet. Hey, T says, I was in a freak accident in the car wash on Friday. I am super traumatized, and my car is most likely totaled. The car wash literally split my car down into a 10-foot embankment into a creek. T. We're not going to claim anything bad, okay, T? What we're going to say is car wash owes you a new car. Please let me know if you're okay, though. Okay, let's see here. The book of Revelations. Absolutely, it was. Yes, Miss Barb, I agree with you. Denise says, I spent our honeymoon in Charleston 13 years ago, but didn't know that part of the history. Now I want to go back and look at it more and bring our kiddos. We stayed on King Street. We stayed very close to King Street. We stayed on Cannon Street. So yes, I know exactly where you were. I highly recommend people go to Charleston, just not with little children that can speak to the dead. Okay, don't take them. But just like I told you, this was a trip, not a vacation. And Mama, you missed it. We were talking about the family, and how we all bond and get along so well. Yeah, how y'all doing? Don't tell her nothing. Hi, y'all. Yeah. Okay, so let me say this. In the midst of all of that, and we bickered a little bit. We fought. Everybody kind of, did their own thing. I'm trying to find the best seafood and soul food restaurant while the bougie sister's trying to find Smoothie King, so we were all over the place. But the one thing I will tell you that I truly, let me see, Christine, would you recommend it to a Canadian? Absolutely. I used to live in Michigan, so I'm used to the Canadians. And yes, but you have to understand, I love history, and I love that any type of rich culture. I love that, and I'm probably going to put together a reel or two so you guys can see the trip and some of the highlights. And if you like it, let me know, and I'll just post them more often when we visit places. But what I will tell you is, in the midst of all of that, and in the midst of us bickering and arguing, and me seeing my life flash before my eyes as my daddy drove, and being frozen to death by my mother, who thought we were, for anyone who just joined us, my mother is in a permanent season of summer. And she kept telling me, well, y'all have the controllers in the back. I don't know what type of controllers she thought we had, but clearly we were doing a remake of Frozen, we were doing Frozen 3, and nobody told us. Because Sydney and I were Anna and Elsa, and my poor nephew was Olaf. And we were all back there like this. In the midst of all of that, though, the one thing I will tell you that made this more than a trip, that took it beyond a vacation, was the fact that I did it with my family. As much as we get on each other's nerves, I would not have it any other way. I was able to spend time with my mommy, just me and my mom. We went on one of the tours that was amazing. And then I also had time to spend with my sisters. And so I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that's the one thing I will tell you to always take away. If you spend time with family, and family doesn't always mean blood. Family is just your people, your tribe, because those are making memories is it. Let me see here. I saw some comments that I wanted to get to. Roro said, when my dad passed, my youngest niece was 3 years old, and we were eating dinner, and she got up from the table and came over to my mom and my niece and said, Grandma wants me to give you this. Leaned in and gave my mom a kiss on the cheek and said, Grandpa says he loves you. My sisters and I all broke down and cried. That's because children are more sensitive. They're intuitive. I believe 100% that was Grandpa. I promise you, Roro, I think that was your daddy. Let's see here. Kristen says, is it wrong that I walk and run in a cemetery? You walk and run? Okay, I'm going to keep reading. Have you read Mary Lee Rosemary's Jack? I love immersion history. So keep this up, even if it's trauma. Okay, wait. That was a lot to unpack, Kristen. Hold on, let me How come I can't make the comment come up on my side? There we go. There we go. I pray that it didn't go crazy packing and moving. Oh, well, hold on. Where'd it go, Kristen? I need to get back to Kristen. Kristen, um, let me see. First of all, I do not judge. If you enjoy walking and running in cemeteries, you knock yourself out. But let me say this, we have a lot in common because I've walked into several cemeteries. You know, unfortunately, we all have had people that have passed in our lives. So I have walked just like you into several cemeteries. But let me assure you, I ran out. Where you was running around, I was running out. So we still can find common ground, run and walk in, run out. You know where you walk in and run around. You know, do you, boo? Even if it's trauma, all right. It's trauma. But you know, if that's where you find peace, I am not here to knock it. But just know you'll have to knock on the door of the car to get in because I'll be there waiting on you. Pray that I don't go crazy packing and moving. Oh no, Sade, you know, when we get ready to move, especially when it's a better thing and you're moving up a level, that's the worst because packing is so, but it's traumatizing and crazy. You'll make it through. I promise you will. Mama, this is true. We hate being together for long periods of time, but we are excited to go on our annual trip together. Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't need each other for long. Well, we need each other always. We don't necessarily need to be together in small quarters for a long period of time. Let's see here. Okay, the comments were coming in. Heather, you too? Heather says, I have always loved walking through graveyards and looking at who was the youngest and the oldest. Now, I will tell you this. You do get a lot of, as someone who likes to write, the stories that a graveyard can tell you are amazing. And we're going to stop right here because if I see a shadow, if one thing touch my shoulder, I'm a panic and I'm going to throw this computer. So, but I do think that that is a good spot to say this. When it comes to graveyards and history, it's a wonderful thing. It's fascinating. I love it. And when it comes to a cemetery, the one thing that you will always notice is something that my daddy always said. There are long graves and there are short graves. If you go in a graveyard, you will see long graves and short graves. You will see short lives and long lives. Regardless to the time you are allowed to be on this earth, my prayer for you is that you live every day to the fullest and you live it out loud. You let your light shine. I had the most incredible experience, and I didn't even tell my mom. While we were there, I ended up going to Krispy Kreme. And when I walked in, there was a woman standing in front of me. And this just goes to show you the power of your shine. We were just standing there and she ordered Krispy Kreme donuts. She got a dozen. And when she turned around, I smiled. And I don't even know how our conversation started. But she told me that she was so excited because she was going to the hospital. Her husband was in the VA hospital in Charleston. And she was taking donuts to the nurses because they were so good to her husband. And I said, absolutely. You know, you treat people how you want to be treated. And she said, that's right. I know that's right. I said, because you never know when it's your turn and you just always have to treat people right. Yeah. And she goes, I know that's right. Oh, you speaking now. And she was just as shaking. The poor little donuts was just shaking, but she was talking and I was talking and she was telling me about how she was so happy that her husband was getting the care that he needed, and she'd been praying for that. And that little moment, we talked for about maybe 5 minutes, but in that little moment, she said, oh, girl, you just made my day. I explained to her, she said, you're light. That is what she said to me. And I said, no, you're light. And I told her what it means to shine. And I thought I was going to have to buy her some more donuts because she was about to lose them. But that's what I mean. You just live every day to the fullest and you live it out loud. Oh, wait, Christine says, how do you feel about walking your dogs in cemetery? Well, stop right there. Christine, that's a two-part question right there. How do I feel about walking dogs? I don't own one. Oh, and did I mention that my sister took her dog on the trip too, despite the fact I'm allergic. That just goes to show you how much my family loves me. That little dog barked and yelped the whole time. Just bark, just bark. Sees a shadow, he bark. One of the children run, he's barking. Just barking, running and barking, barking and running. So I don't do dogs. I think they're wonderful. But to walk a dog through a cemetery would mean that I have one. It's just so much work. Mm. I don't see anything with walking anybody. If you want to be in a cemetery, go. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I see something more wrong with having to walk your dog. Oh, it's such a responsibility. Let's see here. That's right, Miss Martina. Make the most of every day that you have on this earth. Let's see here. My mama said when I was younger and her cousin would ride their bikes, take their baby dolls and have picnics in the cemetery. Her and all them dead folk. I hope she took a sandwich for the spirits. Heather says, please continue to keep my baby boy in prayer. The PTSD he is suggesting from since the freak accident on July 4th is getting worse. He has an appointment Wednesday to get a referral. My heart breaks because I can't take the suffering from him. Absolutely. We will pray for him, Heather. Let's see here. Let go ahead. If there's a prayer request, put it out here. 30 years ago, my father wanted to do his genealogy. So off we went to Poland for 3 weeks, driving in churches and graveyards. We visited relatives we never knew. My daughters were 11 and 12. It was the best memory. Yes, build those memories. Build them. I'm going to end there. We're going to lift T up in prayer over the freak accident at the car wash. And Heather and her son are still in our prayers. They are recovering from a freak accident with fireworks that occurred on July 4th. You never know what another person is going through. So please make sure to let your light shine. Make sure to let your light shine. And regardless to if it's a trip or vacation, you live every day to the fullest. Get your shine on this week, okay? Get your shine on. And while I'm up here talking about my family, don't act like your family ain't crazy too. Have a great night. Get your shine.